Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to a windy afternoon on Rietspruit. It's windy, but it's not as windy and cold as it was on Friday evening. I'm joined this afternoon by Gareth.
Hello, everybody.
We thought we would try a Sunday fun day thing. Maybe we'll make it a habit that on Sundays we tag team and we have a little bit of fun. We have fun all the time, but a Sunday fun day could be a thing, although no promises. We'll see how that turns out. And it's not just Gareth and I this afternoon. It's Gareth and I who will be entertaining you, but we also have Basil on camera, and we have Andrew in our ears, so he's on final control. And then behind me is part of the old guard. We have a visitor in camp tonight. Yuka is with us. Yay! She's saying, long time no see. Yuka says she knows where we are, but she already feels rusty, which is fine because I know where we are, but also I don't. Anyway, Gareth will be handling comments and letting us know where to go, and I'll be here taking the wheel. Hey?
I'm in the navigator seat this afternoon. It's actually quite nice. I feel like I have the pressure off of me. I do think we've got the pressure on Basil this afternoon. We don't have the steady hands of Matt or Andrew, as I think we have to go left.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of trees in the road.
The Ellies have been here clearly, causing some roadblocks. So we're testing out Basil's abilities to do this handheld
Steady
camera
hand.
work, keeping it steady for all of you while we both sit up front.
We have full confidence.
We've tested out Matt and Andrew at this. And to all of our pack members, good afternoon from Rietspruit. Hope you've all had a good weekend thus far. Ariana, Brandy, Jennifer, Betty, Brian, Ulsa, Mary. Welcome to what is the end of our weekend show. Sunday evening. I'm sure most of you still have a full Sunday ahead of you, so that's lucky.
Very nice, actually.
Yeah, I need to find out where we've gone now, because the plan's changed with that
The Ellie intervention.
roadblock the elephants provided us. You'll see there's a little bit more sun this afternoon. Or maybe you won't, because the sky is pretty blown out on camera. But if we stop here, or where there's a nice gap of the mountains, we might show them. Oh, Basil's doing a good job anyway.
Yeah, I'll try and find a gap, Basil, and then we can take it from there. How's that there, Basil?
Still, Jan here, I'm 1 minute out.
So,
Jan, I can hear you. I've got your audio.
just about the first time in the last 36 hours that we've been able to see the mountains nice and clearly, which is promising, very promising.
In front of that. Okay, copy that. I'm on standby now.
I mean, the sun's actually doing a great job there. It's putting us to shame because we've told you that it's been windy and unpleasant all weekend, and out comes the sun, which is fitting because our keyword this week, and this is your last chance to get your hands on the photo of the cheetah, but our keywords are golden hour. If you're part of the pack, you can email that to info@paintedDog.tv to get your hands on the beautiful picture of one of our cheetah brothers on on the Rietspruit, and it should be on screen now so you can see how beautiful that image is. If you'd like a high-res copy, you know what to do. Email info@paintedDog.tv and we'll send that to you. This is your last opportunity. Tomorrow is Monday and the picture will change and the word will change.
Last time when I was out on Friday, there were requests for wild dog pictures for the picture of the week. And the dogs were seen this morning in the northwestern corner of Blauwbank. There's also a leopard, I think she's called the Antioch female. It was seen there briefly when actually Brent was viewing the wild dogs. So we might make our way up there. I still don't have a picture of the wild dogs. I don't think Victoria does either.
Nothing worth showing you.
So we might have to go and try and see if we can capture something for next week's word of the week, or words of the week. I don't know what we're doing.
Word and words.
But our plan for the moment is to go up towards Kudu Krip. One of the male lions was seen there this morning, lazing about.
Be lovely to catch up with him, especially since I still haven't heard any Rietspruit lions roar. I'm not even convinced they can anymore. I'm just joking. It's only been 10 days that we've been here. We've got to give them a little bit of time to warm up to us.
And we have heard them roaring from camp. We just haven't sat with them roaring.
Yeah, that's true. We've found ourselves on one of the new 2 tracks now.
Yep.
Especially since we took a detour. And I have very little idea where this detour is going to come out. Do you know?
Somewhere.
Somewhere.
We'll find out.
We're leaving the tree for fighting.
It'll be a surprise.
Hello, Ruth. Mom Ruth has joined us. She says it's nice to meet you, Yuka.
Nice to meet you too.
Mary says she's watched quite a bit of your YouTube, Yuka, but she's yet to learn Japanese.
Yeah, need English translating.
It's a good way to learn Japanese, I would imagine, because it's right up your alley with all the subjects you love, Mary. So, yeah, do you have subtitles, Yuka?
No, I think.
Not yet.
I don't know if there's an auto one. If there is an auto one, I
There
should
should be an auto one.
sometimes those auto translation is quite funny.
What's that?
One station is going to look for the rhinos. It says Cunt Crip. Rhinos would be lovely too. Did you get rhinos on your drive on Friday night? No.
We didn't. Somebody saw them coming to the elephant, but they didn't actually.
You didn't see them.
We didn't see them. It got a
Alright.
bit too dark, I think.
Well, the rhino would be a lovely thing to see as well.
We had a bit of rain yesterday. How much, I'm actually not too sure. So that weather on Friday that was coming in that made it pretty chilly did bring its rain that night.
Just a little bit though.
It does mean we start with the new canvas in terms of tracking. It's been a day since the rain, so anything that we see that's pretty nice is good. It's always nice when you get a bit of rain like that. It does kind of reset the canvas for tracks. Sometimes it can make it quite hard because the ground gets hard and some of the lighter animals may not leave tracks all over the place as they do when the road surface is a bit broken up and a bit sandier. It does mean in nice little spots it does reset. Some spots that are often walked a lot by animals that we would look to track can get challenging at times with a lot of tracks on the road, so a little bit of a reset's not a bad thing. We're going to go here, we're going to go right here.
Alrighty.
Onto Levenduring.
How far are we from the Kudu Krip area?
Not far.
Okay. Let's figure it out. You got it there?
I'm navigating.
Yeah. Okay.
Victoria doesn't want to feel left out. She's filling out her map as well now.
Stations, I'd like to follow up on the last of the male line around Kudu Krip area.
Yeah, copy done. One station was making his way there. Brent was on his way there. I just pulled out of the two rhino count path at Bedcunt, also making my way towards Kudu Krip.
Mary's trying auto-translate and says it's quite an adventure to learn Japanese. But I saw Matt with his phone today translating Japanese off of Yuka's laptop onto English using his camera. I didn't know what I was looking at. I was quite confused, but it was automatically translating the text into English.
So clever.
Google Translate these days. I wish I had that a while ago when I was learning French.
Yeah, well, it was a long while ago when you were last learning French. A long while back. What was that? The last time you learned French was when you were in school.
Yep,
Yeah.
a trick.
Were you allowed your cell phones for school though?
No,
No.
would
it
have helped doing
wouldn't have
homework
helped.
there. Okay, so we're going to go past this junction straight, and then we're going to turn north onto
Fabulous.
Kudu Krip State.
So it could end up a lot like that male lion, the cheetah that we looked for on my drive on Wednesday. That's this one.
Yeah.
And we spent the whole afternoon searching for a cheetah and her cub, a bye-bye and her cub, and they were nowhere to be found. On a cool day like today, it is possible that this male lion has got up and moved, but I think since he's not too far from us now, we might as well swing into that area and scratch around, see if we can find him. But how that drive ended, I'm not sure how many of you were with us on Wednesday evening, but I promised that I would share with you the difference between a hippo digestion and a rhino digestion, and I will be honest with you, it sent me, I almost bit off more than I could chew. See what I did there? It's ridiculous. But we do have some pretty cool resources. So if we get a gap, if drive picks up and it gets really busy, then we'll pin that for the next time that we can chat about it. But otherwise, I have come prepared to show you all about it. And I'll tell you this much, we'll all learn together.
Also, be quite nice if we find a rhino for that.
It would be wonderful to find a rhino, actually. Is this the last area where he was?
Yeah, so we're approaching Kudu Krip here now.
That's pretty apt. Andrew's whispering in our ear that it's World Rhino Day as well, which means that it would be really great if we found a rhino. Looks like people have gone off-road here this morning. The tracks head off in this direction, so let's poke our nose in here. Perhaps we'll find a sleeping lion. Yeah, everyone's definitely driven here. These eroded sections seem to be the favorite of all these Rietspruit animals. You can understand why. There's plenty of space to hide from the wind if you're lying in an eroded section. But there's some beautiful open patches that if he is here and he does, excuse me, and he does get up, it could be beautiful to see him. Where be the male lion?
It's not going to be easy to go further into here.
I don't think we can, but we can try from a different angle. Put our nose in that side. I can see somebody else has done that too, even if it was just to turn around. Also in this area where there's tufts of grass, I keep thinking that I've seen his ear. Oh, there he is, but actually it's all an illusion. I'm gonna stand up. Have a look. He was left a little while ago. Not a little while ago, he was left this morning. So like I said, he could have moved. Just got to figure out whether I'm daring enough to hop out and take a little walk. What do you think? You think not? Well, at the very worst, he'll get up and
It's
show
a
us
sure way to find out if he's here or not.
exactly where he is, isn't it? I mean, I haven't even seen any lion tracks, so let's just have a little look. I feel extra prickly about it. Maybe it's because I don't know him as a lion on foot. It's funny, Gareth and I have laughed about it quite a lot, but we get really comfortable in an area and then you almost become a little bit nonchalant about the wild animals in that area because you think, oh, well, they've never done anything, oh, they're quite comfortable, oh, they move off. And then you move into a new area and suddenly all your senses are heightened and you just are not sure about whether or not you want to be on foot with these animals. But I know that people have walked them before. I know that I also want to keep a respectful boundary. I'm not seeing anything from here. From what Brent's radio communication was, there was only a small gap through which to view him, and I was kind of hoping he hadn't moved, and with the camera we have an added advantage because we have the zoom and we can use small gaps. But also being an eroded section, if he's decided to move deeper in, that could make it trickier for us.
Just to show you all, I don't know if Basil can focus on my phone. Can you? With the blue dot over here, this is all the eroded stuff between the two green lines. So I think what we can try and do is drive the green line
All the way up.
up on the right of where we are and see if he's moved out there. And then maybe come down the other green line and see if he's gone there and come back and check along these the white roads, which are normal.
Good plan, Gareth.
Sweet.
A man
Before we go walking
with a
into
plan. A lion we don't know.
area that's full of erosion gullies.
Oh.
And he could be lying under any of the bushes or in the gully somewhere. You don't really want to go walking
Hold on.
around in there without checking alternative spots like the roads around the area.
Visual there.
Negative. Oops.
A couple of other vehicles joining in the search.
I wonder if this is the male who was separate from, watch out, separate from the pride a little while ago. Or if there's other lions in the area too. Is this the one, Gareth?
This is the main road, but let's carry on up here, I think, and then come back down
Okay.
because there's a vehicle going the other way.
We're gonna maximize our coverage to be able to find him. And this time of the year, when everything is so tawny, it's the perfect time of the year for a male lion to blend. His superpower of camouflage will be at its heightened state in this, because this is the color of his mane, tawny. Should we go this way?
I guess so.
Yeah,
I don't even know
let's
if
try
that's on the
this.
map. Oh, it is on the map. It's just in the wrong place. Mary says the black rhino and her calf would be a nice sighting for World Rhino Day.
It would be more than nice. It would be fantastic. I'd love to see her again.
It would be nice for me to see her.
Full stop. You haven't seen her yet. I've seen her bum and her baby's bum running off after dark, so it doesn't really count. Although they did turn around and have a look at us, and then I could see just all the black rhino features. Male lion.
Betty is asking, has the injured male been spotted lately? Is that the third male of the coalition, or is there another one injured that I'm unaware of? I do know that the third male disappeared quite a while ago now, and I think this being a closed system. Sorry, I'm not looking at the camera as I'm trying to find where this lion is.
Search for a lion.
I think being a closed system, if he was still around, he would have been seen by now. Brent was telling us the other day that there are over 100 recorded causes of death.
Different recorded causes.
Of male lions in fenced game reserves.
All natural.
Even deaths by duiker, which is not something you would expect.
Very humiliating if you're a male lion and a little duiker manages to bring you to your knees. But
yes, Betty, I think it's safe to say, since it has been a couple of months, that male has unfortunately died. If he was still around, he would have been seen by somebody in a closed system or heard roaring. I know sometimes in open systems, if a male goes without being seen for a while, it doesn't necessarily mean that those animals have died. They may have just moved off the reserve and into a space without vehicles, and then they pop up months later. But a male lion in a fenced game reserve hasn't been seen for a few months. I think he's probably succumbed to his injuries that he sustained a little while ago, which is unfortunate, but it is nature. And in open systems, I think Victoria was touching on it the other day, it's not uncommon for coalitions of male lions to lose members as they take over territory. And this is a closed system, so it's slightly different circumstances, but it is a bit of a sort of natural process where larger coalitions, they fight amongst themselves. Especially here, there's one pride, 5 females. They fight amongst themselves, and in some areas you might find a male just moves off because the competition with his brothers is too much.
Pulling out of these two white rhino, they're slowly mobile in a westerly direction, parallel to Kudusdale Put, north of the road.
I wonder where this lion has gone. I haven't seen any tracks of his yet. I have been keeping an eye out. We're not actually that far from where he was last seen, but we're moving slowly in the hope that we can see him or see some signs of him.
It isn't nice when these animals that you view and follow for a long time disappear, and often we don't know what happens to them, they just vanish. We've had, in our time in an open system, had many animals just vanish with no idea of where they've gone or what's the outcome for them. But and then you always hold on to hope that you'll see them again, especially younger animals, animals that have just gone independent from their mothers. You've watched them grow up and you're kind of hoping that they do well and you'd see them living their life out, even if it's only for a short period of time while we're in those areas to view them. And they just disappear. And so often we don't have the answers as to what happens. It's very uncommon for us to actually find a cause of death, or in an open system, especially if they've moved off of your property and into an area that you can't go. Like for us, Mala Mala, we were bordering the Kruger National Park and animals would come and go freely. They just disappear. And they may have just shifted territory or set up territory in an area with no roads and where nobody goes. and then nobody ever sees them, and you never have that feeling of sort of content that you know what they're up to. When they do go into areas where there are operators and you know that they've set up territory there, it's a nice to know.
Looks like
In a system like this, closed, it's not an open area where male lions especially can move around. I think the outcome is pretty certain of that male, unfortunately.
it's a sober reality, but it's something that you have to remind yourself, and it's really important to get to grips with the fact that the wild is only the wild because we have minimal and in perfect cases no human interventions. And so it's brutal when you lose an animal that you feel well acquainted with, that you really enjoy spending time with them, you followed their life, you know their story. But I think what's so beautiful is that this system is so robust that it continues, and that life continues, and that the survival of the fittest means that in these areas where the species are doing well, it's a climax population, which means that the strongest of the species are surviving, and so the genetics are really good and actually really robust, and they don't need our human intervention or our support or anything like that. They are the best their species has to offer. And I especially, we're talking about an open system, but in cases like that, it's brutal for the individual, but it is exactly as it should be for the species. And so, as sad as it is, and as frustrating as it can be, humans, we like to have conclusions to things. We like closure, we like conclusions, we like to put a little bow on something in our understanding and put it in its compartment in our brain. But I think part of what's so captivating and thrilling about nature is that we don't get to do that. We don't get to be in charge of those things. We don't get to fully understand. And when we learn that that's okay and we accept that, the wild just becomes a place of endless possibilities.
Victoria and I only started 10 days ago. I was actually unaware of what the injury was, Jennifer. What injury did that male lion sustain that I'm sure ultimately resulted in his demise? Especially if he was the dominant male in the coalition, like some of you have commented.
A shot, yeah.
It's a nice little pan if there's some water in it.
Very dry this time of the year, but I'm sure that this is a hive of activity in the wet months. This actually looks like one of those nick sites that I was speaking about on one of my previous drives. It's certainly not a pumped water hole. So let's get out, let's have a look. So how it happens, I don't know, is this a good area over here, Basil? Can you see me? Okay, so what happens is that in the wet season, especially, I must remember that we're looking for a male lion here. Maybe I'm good bait. But what we see that happens in the wet season is that a big animal, maybe a rhino or an elephant, will have taken a step, and this ground would have been particularly soft and susceptible, and it would have created a nice little concave area where that footprint has happened. So if you can imagine, I'm making a mess here, but imagine an elephant's taken a step, and there's a good hollowing where he's taken a step in the rain, and that it rains again, and now it's like a perfect little jacuzzi for a warthog. And one warthog gets in there and he rolls himself around in the mud and he gets nice and lathered in it. And then he gets out and there's enough space because he's excavated a bit of mud with him. And he takes out a little bit of mud And then there's space for a family of warthogs, and they'll take out a little bit of mud as they mud bath and lather themselves in the mud. And eventually it gets big enough that an entire family of elephants, a herd, can come. And think about how many buckets of mud it's going to take to smother an elephant. A lot. And they get out and they carry that mud off and they rub it against trees. But what happens is that you invariably create a seasonal mud wallow like this. So now it's dry because it's not pumped and it's relatively shallow. But best believe that when it is summer and the rains fall, this is where we're going to come to look for rhinos, where we're going to come to look for elephants, and even cats will come and drink from here if it's closer to perhaps where they've got a kill or a den than the dams or whatever other water sources they have. What's everyone saying, G?
Not too much. It seems like he had a damaged leg.
All of them. I think I recall somebody telling me that he was quite picked on, but I mean, I don't know.
Mary's saying it's likely an injury picked up whilst hunting and then made worse by his brothers as he lost a bit of condition and strength and being able to fight with them, which often happens. Knowing that these lions like to take on giraffe, I wouldn't be surprised if they picked up injuries that would do some harm.
Which way are we going?
Go right.
Okay.
And then once you are injured and you struggle to keep up with the pride or your brothers, when you eventually get to a kill, there's maybe less of it left, more competition, more fighting, and if you're not strong, you just kind of lose out. And then let's go right here as well.
Right seems to be the right way this afternoon.
Just on a loop around the eroded areas that we were looking onto earlier when Victoria got out of the car near the last position of that male lion. So now we're coming down the other side of those erosion spots, and hopefully he's come up onto this road, or we get a different angle and perspective into the erosion and we can spot him from the other side. But weather like this, your predators will move in the middle of the day. It's not hot, so it's not unlikely for them to have moved.
Anyala. Beautiful Nyala bull, and he's camera shy. So typical. You want passing me my book, Gareth? I think with a particular herbivore in front of us, and knowing that we're not alone in our search for a male lion, let me make good on my promises. Now, something that I need to assure you is that although I made a promise, I think I'm going to go a little bit more in depth than we initially bargained for. So let's set the foundation for a few things. All digestion with mammals, vertebrates, starts with ingesting food. So it starts around the mouth. It starts with the lips that are pulling food into the mouth and the teeth that are biting it off. Then within the mouth, three things happen. Firstly, there's well, obviously, like I've said, you pull it into your mouth. Then there's grinding in the case of herbivores, so teeth are grinding or crunching or chewing. And then there's also an enzyme in saliva that starts the breakdown process of vegetation. Right, then they'll swallow and it will go into their esophagus. Now, different types of digestive systems have slightly different esophaguses. Some of them, the peristalsis, so the contracting of muscles that pushes food into the stomach, goes only one way, and others can go both ways. So the ones that are going both ways are animals that can either like regurgitate food or animals that can vomit. And then there are animals that cannot regurgitate or vomit their food. So everything's going to start from when the food reaches the end of the esophagus and goes into what's known as the stomach. Shall we start there? Also, like I said, my initial promise was that we would talk about the difference between rhinos and hippos, but we've gone way past that. Let me show you. I did a real deep dive and then found out that everything I could ever have wanted was in a really simplified version in one of the textbooks I have, which is quite funny because I ended up watching university lectures online just to refresh my memory of all these things, and then I found them in a textbook and it was a paragraph. So I'm going to give you the simplified version, but hopefully I'll be able to add elements that aren't here. Let's start with this. Gareth, would you just hold that there? All right, we're just going to focus on this side, Basil, if that's okay. Maybe take it over a little bit to your side, G. All right, so this is an eland. It's a ruminant. It has a ruminant digestive system. A lot of different animals out here are ruminants. Generally, it's even-toed ungulates, which is a fancy way of saying the animals, the herbivores out here who have even-toed feet. So you're talking about your kudu, the giraffe, the buffalo, the nyala, and then even things like the impala. But there's lots of ruminants, and it is considered the best digestive system. So we've spoken about getting the food into the mouth here, and the mastication of the food, and then the swallowing. Now what happens in a ruminant's stomach is that first the food or the particles of vegetation are going into chambers 1 and 2. The rumen is number 1, and number 2 is the reticulum, and together they're termed the reticular rumen. Now what happens is once an animal has ingested vegetation, the small particles sink to the bottom here in the reticulum, but the larger pieces of vegetation, we're flapping around in this wind, actually float to the surface. And that is what the ruminant, the animal, will regurgitate and chew it a second time and then swallow it so that the particles are smaller and easier to absorb. Then what happens is that they go, oopsie, I lost my pointer. Give me a second, maybe I can use my finger. What happens is that they go into the third chamber over here. My finger is just so big and clumsy that it's easier if we use the stick. It goes into the third chamber over here, which is the omasum. And there's lots of little villi, these little pieces of, they look like tiny little fingers. And that just increases the absorption area. And then it moves into what's quote unquote over here. It's known as the abomasum or the true stomach. And this is where there's stomach acid. And so the digestion that we might have learned with humans, it's not the same, but there's stomach acid in here that helps break it down. And then it's moved into the small intestine and the large intestine where absorption, further breakdown and absorption take place. Now, in all of particularly fermentation. Now, what's happening with fermentation is that there are little microbes that are breaking down the plant material, because actually no vertebrate, not any of these herbivores are actually able to break down fiber or cellulose from plants. We need a symbiotic relationship with a microbe that lives in the gut that is going to break down the cellulose in the plant material. And then what happens is that it goes through and eventually it, comes out the end as dung that we've seen. So that's how a ruminant works. Basically, what's important to remember is 4-chambered stomach, they chew it twice, and it's probably the most thorough digestive system of all the herbivores. Right, then we're going to move on. Let's move it like this so that Basil can have a look. All right. Then we move on to the hindgut fermenter. Now, the hindgut fermenter is actually the one, this is the same as the rhino. Now, I thought I could print out a rhino, but I didn't because this is an identical internal structure or very similar internal structure. So the hindgut fermenter is where we're going to classify the white rhino that we were talking about a couple of nights ago. Now, what's different and noteworthy is firstly that they have an incredibly long, we're having some radio interference with our little chat here. But what happens is that the small intestine of the hindgut fermenter is very, very, very long. And then the most important part, or the part that is very noteworthy, is the cecum. Now the cecum is huge in a hindgut fermenter, and it has a lot of microorganisms that assist it over here with the breakdown of cellulose in the cecum. Sorry, the cecum is this part, not down. No, it is this part. I'm getting a bit confused. And basically what happens is from the cecum it then moves into the colon, where absorption takes place, both of the water and of the nutrients. But here the huge thing to note is that the cecum is way, way bigger than anything else. And it's because of this, all of these hindgut fermenters can eat less nutritious vegetation in larger quantities than the ruminants can. And then we get to the strangest one of all, which brings a conclusion to what I promised, is the hippo. The hippo is this very odd creature because its digestive system is not like the hindgut fermenter, who has an incredibly long digestive tract. It's not like the ruminant, who has a very complex chambered stomach that can regurgitate. A hippo cannot regurgitate, and nor does it have all the twists and turns that a hindgut fermenter has. So what ends up happening, is that vegetation spends a lot of time in these 3 stomachs. So hippos got 3 chambered stomach, and the digestive process is so slow and the retention time is so long that in order for them to actually be able to break down the plant cell walls, it's considered actually quite an inefficient or not a very good digestive system. But because a hippo has low thermoregulation, their body temperature is quite low, and their metabolic rate, and they do very little living in water, they have much lower metabolic requirements than their counterpart, the hippo. So,
Rhino.
Sorry, the rhino. I said the hippo. I meant the rhino. That was a super in-depth look into the digestive systems of the different herbivores, but it's actually really helpful to understand why we're finding herbivores in certain areas, which time of the years which species are thriving, and also just figuring out why an animal like a hippo that's the same size as a rhino can spend so much time in the water and eat so much less as a percentage of its body weight than something like a hippo, which is, a rhino. I keep saying hippo and rhino interchangeably, they're not the same. But a hippo will eat less and a rhino will eat more, and it's all because of these digestive systems and their habits being either semi-aquatic with the hippo or completely terrestrial with the rhino. That was a lot. You kind of have to send through some questions if I confused you at any point. But shall we carry on and see, while we drive and field some questions, if we can find our lion, who's not any of those digestive systems because he's a carnivore.
If you only joined us during that, you're probably very confused. So, hi Rosemary. Hello Alex. You jumped in right in the smack of that. And then, yeah, some nice comments of people enjoying the educational times from Betty and Jennifer. Thanks to Victoria for taking the time to teach us on these topics.
It's fun for me too. The last time I had to look at all of that stuff was when I wrote my level 2 exam, which was quite a while ago now.
Maybe we should go in the...
Shall we?
In the riverbed for a little bit.
See if our lion's
See if
here.
he's in there somewhere.
Which way would you like to go?
Go right. Everything's been right.
Everything's right this afternoon. Oop, no signal.
So we're coming down the Sandsloot now. This is not a bad place for this male lion to have come into this afternoon. It's still a little bit windy. So So drop down into the river where there's virtually no wind now. You can see the tree up ahead is blowing around, but right here where we're sitting, down low on the sand of the river, there's hardly any wind. So it's a really good spot. There's a duiker.
There's a duiker in the river in front of us. I'll stop right here. Brent, I am driving the Sunsloot now. See if there's any sign here. Quite fluffed up there. Maybe it's cold. Oops, gee.
That's fine. I'm just getting out of the way here. Sorry, folks.
Looks like a little female, so very unlikely that the lions who've died by duiker have died by a female duiker. They would need the horns to be able to inflict some damage. It's very relaxed. I'm only just getting used to how many grey duikers we're seeing on Rietspruit. It's incredible how successful this population has been and how frequently we see them and how relaxed they are. It's completely contrary to what we have experienced in our guiding and where we've worked and even where we visited previously. The duiker on Rietspruit are very obliging. She's moving off. Those big ears listening. I'm always amazed at the ears of these antelope that move backwards and forwards independent from one another. You always know when they're listening to you. Perhaps they're listening to something else, but this one is not fazed by us at all. And I think we're going to carry on, so it could move off. Happy?
It was all folded over there so that you could see the duiker.
A little contortionist under Nyala.
Yeah.
Let's stop here. Actually great to see the size difference between the two of them. We're not too far from where that male Nyala was, so perhaps they know each other. There's more than one Nyala. They're just very difficult to see. They're in the thicket on the left of that Nyala. Around about behind where that duiker's gone in. We are going to drive past there, but it is quite close, so they could move off. Anyway, let's have a look. Let's see if we can see a few more of them. They would fall into our ruminant category if we're going to start classifying all of our herbivores.
North, mobile to the north, this side is working.
Ambling on, there's more of the Nyala in here as well. How's that? See all of them. I think it's just the three of them. But you very quickly realize how good they are at camouflaging themselves. look at that one that you're looking at now. It's very disruptive here. Sorry, talking about the radio. So that little one that we're looking at now is actually a young male. And you'll see that he's going to move off as I want to tell you about him. But he looks just like the two females that are here. In fact, he looks nothing like that male that we've just seen, also the Nyala bull, before we chatted about all of our digestive systems. And the reason that animals do that their male offspring look just like females, is to try and extend the period of time that they're allowed to spend with their mothers before the dominant males or the males who want to breed with their mothers kick them out. So he looks just like a female. If I hadn't seen his tiny little horns that have emerged, I would have thought that he was one of the females. But those horns are a dead giveaway because Nyala ewes don't grow horns. So he's going to turn really dark, a dark chocolate color with those pretty golden legs and big horns. But for now, he's just hanging out with his mum and probably his aunt or his older sister or some other related female to give him all the best chances of growing big and strong before he has to carve out his own life. We see that with a lot of species. Almost all of them, the offspring will look like females. And eventually, why are you looking at me like that? Gareth's having a chuckle. I have no idea what he's thinking. But the lions, they don't have a mane for the first 2-3 years. If they have a mane, obviously they start developing it from about 8 months. You start seeing longer hairs, but it's nothing like an impressive, fully mature male lion's mane. And we see it with, all of the antelope species don't have horns when they're born, so they look like their mothers. And are you giggling because even little baby humans look like their mothers? Why are you giggling?
I'm just giggling because Nyala is a very different antelope to most, where the sexual dimorphism is
particularly stark.
Yes.
It is stark.
Whereas the coloration of most of your other animals is very similar. And so is the body size. It's not as dramatic as with the Nyalas.
A lot of species do exhibit some sort of male-female dimorphism. But you're right, it's particularly contrasted in the Nyala.
For the most part, the coloration of all the antelope is pretty similar that we see down here. The only difference is really body size, males being slightly larger than females in most situations, and having the horns. Whereas Nyala, the males are quite a lot heavier than females, and they have a different coloration completely. Although they have a similar coat pattern with the white stripes down the side.
Kudos.
So he's gone that way. So Brent has found the tracks of the male lion. He did cross through this river.
Can you please repeat the mark? It was very
So he did cross through here. There he is.
Track of a male lion head east out of the Sunset Road.
Where do you want me to check?
Thank you very much.
Oh, look who's there! So you go on safari. You're on safari.
Finally. She needed a reintroduction. Where do you want us to look?
Far away from that person before I lose my temper.
Okay.
So he was lying up there earlier today. Probably 150 meters he's gone up. So if you go up and around that way, we'll go up and around this way.
Okay.
Which way did you come from?
We did the 2 tracks that are around the drainage line
So
first.
you haven't been onto the eastern side towards Egg Cake and those areas?
No, not yet.
Just the northern parts of AK. Before we came into the
Okay, yeah.
river.
So you go that side, southern part of Egg Cake, and we'll zoom right like that.
Okay, let's see what we can do.
Cool.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Thank you,
We'll try
okay,
not.
you think trying to learn the roads again?
Yeah, it's just reclimatizing. You look warm.
I'm very warm.
Yeah. It is nice to get out.
Okay, guys.
Right.
Let's find some lions.
And then the rhinos went west from Kudikop.
Oh, did you see them? Not tracks. Okay, that's cool. Oopsie. Okay, it's good that we have a game plan now.
What's your log?
Okay, so Brent actually just said that he saw the rhino almost exactly where we first got out the car to look for the lion. So they could have moved. Well, I'm hoping that we would have. I'm hoping really that we can maybe find, even if we don't find the lion, that we'll find the rhinos. Rhinos are fine, they'll work great.
Just changing the channel there as Brent's trying to tell everybody that there aren't any lions. It's tracks of lions. So he's crossed through the river here, gone up onto this bank somewhere. Our plan, like Victoria was saying, sorry, before I changed the radio, is to go around, come out the river, and come down the road that is east of the riverbed from both directions and see if we can find them. Like we were saying earlier, I don't know which way is better for Basil for me to turn around.
That way.
I feel like this way I'm going to fall out.
I'll catch ya. Stay.
What was I saying?
I'm not sure.
This weather means that your predators might move around quite a bit. On those hot days where they're trying to conserve as much energy as they possibly can, they may lay in the shade for a lot longer and only get active when it starts to cool down after sunset, which is quite typical of lions. Last week this time we sat with lions for about an hour waiting for them to do something, and they did absolutely nothing. By Sequoia Dam.
Well, they were majestic towards the end.
Yes,
the male lion
the
gave
male
us the
was.
sunset and the beautiful silhouette, but no roars.
Whereas today is a very different day in terms of temperature. I think last week it was about 35, 36 degrees Celsius. Today we're sitting at about 16 degrees Celsius. And we get in the animal moving around in the middle of the day. It's all about trying to save and use as little energy as possible. So you can imagine on a cold day, it's not hot, you're not trying to get rid of body heat like the lions do in summer, so they actually get up and move about. Whereas on a hot day, moving about means they're using a lot of energy in doing so. It's hot, so there's more energy being lost through trying to regulate their temperature. So they rather just wait for the cover of darkness, and as the temperature decreases, get out and move.
I mean, that's partially also due to the fact that, particularly the big hairy animals, they're not very good at regulating their body temperature because they don't sweat. Like we have the superpower of sweating. We also, or the elephants have their ears that help cool them down, but big cats really only have their mouth, and so their tongue particularly works as their only panel for losing excess heat. And we know that any mammal needs to keep its body temperature, I think that in Fahrenheit it's about, you might have to correct me if I'm wrong, but around 98? For humans it's between 36 and 37 degrees Celsius.
Degrees Celsius.
Yes. That's what I say. And that's actually very similar for most mammals. It's within that range. So we have a very efficient system in terms of cooling. Elephants have a very efficient system, but big cats really have a relatively inefficient system. So even if it was, you know, you will see big cats moving in the heat, but they become quite comatose by the heat if it's too hot for too long, because they need to bring that body temperature back down to what is normal so that their body can function like normal. Come on, male lion. All those 2 rhinos, I wouldn't be sorry. I'd be actually very happy to see some rhinos on World Rhino Day. Oh, we're going to go back into the river here. I don't know if I've driven this Sunslow section. Have you?
I think yeah with Brent before we started with Painted Dog and we came on a drive here. He was telling us about the leopard cubs in this eroded section with the rocks, if I remember correctly.
Oh, perhaps. That makes me even more thrilled. Not that there's any leopard with cubs at the moment that we know of in this area. But we're ever hopeful. Leopards have been the topic of conversation in the Painted Dog TV house in the last 3 days. We have all got grand ideas and schemes as to how we can see more of them. I think we need to start speaking about some of the other species, considering we are a painteddog.tv. We'll have to change that around the table tonight with Yuka there. She can bring some diversity to all the leopard chats we've been having. Go, Brent. Copy, will do. Okay, we need to check Hoofpad around 8 Cape. How do we get there, Gareth? How do we get to Hoofpad around 8 Cape?
I don't know.
Probably this
Okay,
way.
go left.
You can see Brent has come from the other direction, and so we just want to cover as much ground as we can to increase our odds.
I don't know how we get to those two roads.
Should we make for Hoofpad and then we will at least we should find 8 Cake.
I just don't see where they join.
Okay.
That's the problem.
Which is the closer of the two?
Because we're getting quite close to Boskamp.
Okay, that's good.
But he says the tracks went north, didn't he?
Yeah. How are our people? What have they got to say while we search for a male lion?
I've lost the comments.
It's actually so nice to be out. And it's nowhere near as windy as it has been in the last little bit, so I'm really enjoying being out. I have got an excessive amount of jackets on though, just in case. I don't like being cold.
As we come out of the riverbed, it does feel like it's a little bit cooler.
It was far more sheltered in there.
There's just a bit of a debate who was with Brent, and Mary was correct. It was Barbara and Connie.
Ali, Connie's daughter. Hello everybody.
Hey everybody.
How are you doing? Good. Where are you looking for the male lion? Where have you been? All over.
Now the tracks come through the river, and then they've gone north up here somewhere.
We're just going to keep looking. Yeah, I'll hear from you. You'll hear from me and I'll hear from you.
Let's go this way.
And you, have fun, stay warm.
How are you? Very good.
Painted Dog, yeah.
What's your channel?
Where is it? There.
Our animals while at home.
Exactly.
You can find us on YouTube.
And you'll hear yourselves, you'll hear your own voices on this drive. Very excited to see Yuka, very excited to learn that we have a YouTube channel. It's always fun when people get enthusiastic about what we're doing. It's encouraging.
The radio wasn't good for it. I'm trying to think now what I'm meant to be saying. The radio wasn't very good earlier when Brent was talking on it about where to drive, so I'm just looking at the map trying to figure out exactly what he was trying to say, and still in the process of learning the roads. I'm not entirely sure I understand what he was saying at all.
We've got a pink.
Doesn't join on the map.
Let's get into that area. But we know, I mean, his tracks were heading in this direction, so we could get lucky. I'm also just feeling good about the rhinos that were left in this area, so maybe we'll get rhinos. There seems to be a World Everything Day these days. But it is actually really nice to be able to celebrate certain species, particularly ones like rhinos, that obviously are fighting an uphill battle with regards to all that's going on in terms of how sought after they are, or their horn is on the black market. So it is nice to know that they have a special day devoted to them. It's like rhino's birthday, because they don't have birthdays, so they can have Rhino Day.
Kevin getting mobile in the update.
World Rhino Day.
And the current class just encrypt, they're headed north rhinos. 2 sub-adult rhinos are could encrypt, they're headed west.
Okay, Gareth.
Male lines this morning are heading towards, they went out of the sunset east, and I think they're going to come out on Rockfig, I can't remember that off gone. Build a face. Okay, copy. 8 takers parallel with the river there. Track got 8 takers heading north. Check all the way now. Okay, copy.
I actually had tracks of these lions here a couple of days ago.
Okay, go left up here.
Alrighty. Does this take us onto Wildefay?
It will, yeah.
Cool. Brent's also working on it.
So I think we just go beyond that.
Okay, we'll go beyond that. There's rhino tracks here, but they
Rhino.
go in the opposite direction. What are they? They are driven over. That's what they are.
White rhinos, nice big gaps between the toes.
White rhinos with big gaps between the toes. It's one of the key factors that you look for, is how much negative space there is between the top toe and the 2 side toes. They've got a bit of space there, and it's much bigger in white rhinos. We'll have to stop one afternoon and do a full-on black rhino, white rhino crash course, tracking crash course.
We're getting closer to sunset time. Sunset is in about 10 minutes or so, which means that light is starting to fade, which makes tracking a little bit harder, trying to find tracks. Especially with the clouds over the mountain range still. We'll lose light even quicker this afternoon. Okay, I think we jump over this junction and go to the next one, and then we go north on that.
Okay, great. Something that's quite helpful for tracking when you're tracking with more than one vehicle is that one person stays with the tracks and the next person, the other car, preemptively jumps a few roads ahead to see if firstly you can see if you're going to find more tracks, or actually if you can intercept the animal on its journey. So Brent is currently following tracks. We're trying to be that vehicle that's just a little bit more preemptive, see if either he's already crossed over these roads or if we intercept him if he is still moving. Teamwork. You know what they say about teamwork, right? Teamwork works. That's not what you thought I was
I
going to
think
say.
you threw everybody at home off.
Can't be cliche. I am actually often very cliche. What's happening? Oh no.
Okay, so the book that Victoria was using there is called Pathfinder. Some of our pack members just asking what it was. Pathfinder. It's a great little book.
Should we go up here?
Covers, yeah, let's go up here. Covers everything that you might need when you're starting out. And even if you're not just starting out and you need to refresh your mind.
Probably my best thing about it is, I mean, information, the internet is full of information, but what's great is the detailed little diagrams. They really are quite helpful. Like I said, I went on a full deep dive when I could have just gone to my one resource book. It's all in there. Of course, not that in-depth, but just amazing little summaries.
Mail line trucks are heading north on Wilderfrey from the drainage towards Space Junction.
What is
Sorry? I don't know. Pipeline router. Is that
got
right?
you? We have spent a lot of time in the last 10 days teasing Gareth for having to learn Afrikaans and how he's pronouncing things, but I have a question for our behind the scenes guest. Yuka, how did you learn all the Afrikaans names when you were working here?
I spoke Afrikaans better before I came here because back then I had an Afrikaans boyfriend.
Oh my goodness. Okay, Yuka pulled out a trump card. She said actually she spoke a bit of Afrikaans because she had an Afrikaans boyfriend. So that's
Unfair
impressive.
advantage.
Excuse me, you don't have an Afrikaans
No, I
wife.
don't.
I'm not Afrikaans,
Exactly.
but I can speak a bit. It's different. It's not my first language.
These roads are also roads that I haven't spent much time on, if any time on, so I haven't learnt the names just yet. Some of the other areas I'm a little bit better at my Afrikaans.
You're really getting there, though. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Something has caught my eye in here. I can't see what it was. Obviously, when you want to find a mail line, everything looks like a mail line. But just worth slowing down, checking. No, just nothing. Just slightly different color to there, that's what I saw. A slightly different color in the, I think it's the grass, but it's vegetation. I did see now. Through all the thick stuff, it's, yeah. I mean, I can't even exactly point out to Basil what it was, but I know what I was looking at. And it's just, yeah, if you just put your camera in there, it was part of the tufts of grass that you're looking at now had a slightly different tinge. And being ever the optimist, I was so hopeful, but it's not to be. We're gonna have to do a birding drive one of these days. I'm seeing lots of little LBJs flitting around. It would be good fun to do a Twitcher's drive. See how many birds we can get in one drive. What do you think? Maybe we make it a competition between you, me, and Andrew, and we each take a drive to see how many birds we can get. Andrew's in our ear. Andrew says, "Game on."
That's one for next week.
Yeah, we'll have to
We
see.
each have one drive to see how many birds we can get.
And all of you are going to have to work as our... What do you call it when somebody...
Fact checkers.
Yeah, our fact checkers. You'll have to keep us...
Every
us
bird
honest.
has to be caught on camera.
On camera, yeah. Well,
So this depends on the cameraman.
yeah, this is terrible. What
So-
if Andrew's my cameraman?
It has to be Basil the whole week.
Basil's going to have to do the whole week, otherwise it's going to be partial. We need an impartial cameraman. Although I trust that Andrew would be very impartial.
When we stop, I'll have to show you the cover of the book because Betty can't find it online, but it is called Pathfinder. I'm not lying to you.
It's not a very well, I mean, I think
It's probably a book that's more common in South Africa. as
you
it's-
have to order it
Yeah.
for print. It's not, as far as I'm aware, not available everywhere. The sun is setting and it's getting a bit chilly.
Okay, I don't know. I think let's carry on going straight. We're getting up to Zebra Putt. Which is this one.
Are we gonna go right or no
think-
straight?
Carry on straight.
Carry on.
Yuca's starting to layer up here as the sun goes behind the mountains. It has definitely dropped off in temperature. It hasn't been a warm afternoon. I have to move right around because Basil is on the... You don't have to undo. He has to go hands now. As it hasn't been a very warm afternoon. At least the wind's been about half of it was what it was a couple of days ago. Go
I just want
left.
to check what's on the road here. It looks like
Okay.
there might be
The wind
trucks.
speeds on Friday were 40 kilometers an hour, and today they're 20 kilometers an hour. So it dropped off quite a lot after the rain.
You say
There's another
right.
vehicle looking up ahead there.
Which way do you want to go?
Okay, left. I don't know,
Changed our minds.
because they're over there. So Yuka's layering up. Looks like you're in a sleeping bag.
I haven't even managed.
It's
It's.
the way to have an afternoon game drive, all wrapped up in a sleeping bag.
I haven't even managed to buy myself guiding pants because I didn't think I was going to have to need guiding pants until winter. And boy, was I wrong. It's pants kind of weather. It's all zebra tracks that I'm seeing here.
Might be a bit of a race between us and Brent as to who can find this male lion.
Oh, we played this game on Wednesday and neither of us won.
Brent has a unfair advantage knowing the roads, knowing the movements of these animals.
we've said it before, but it's terrain. So you're not going to see miles deep into this environment. You're going to only see what's close enough to be sure of what you've seen. It's not like some of the grassland areas that grassland landscapes that this area boasts. Are tracks on your side there, Gareth? No.
Nope.
But it does mean that when you see an animal, it's nice and close.
Looks like it's only one vehicle having driven down here after the rain. Now I think we're going to be on the road behind that other vehicle.
Yeah.
Let's just stop here so we can show the viewers what book we're referring to.
Okay. While you do that, I'm going to just have a look.
Pathfinder. That's what the cover looks like. It's a really good book. Lots of good information inside here on digestion of birds. Talks about individual bird groups, nests. Goes into some of the horns of the different antelope, how to age your antelope by the horns. Some information on rhinos and elephant tusks, bats, different mammals. And then in the front of the book, which I kind of skipped through, is like geology, ecology, grasses, trees, how the earth works. So yeah, a really good book to get your hands on if you can.
Lots of great
Simply
resources.
Pathfinder being the name.
All right, which way? There's no tracks on this road, so nothing indicates a clear direction. I feel like left is luck. What do you think? Or is that a bad call?
Let's go left.
Wildebeest Dam.
Wildebeest Dam. It's quite far. But maybe, yeah, let's go that straight, not that straight.
Okay.
So we're on Hoofpad. And go to Wildebeest Dam.
I kind of have a leopard feeling. I do. I don't know why.
Maybe we'll get one drinking now at sunset at Blue Wildebeest
You know what's going to
Dam.
happen is one day we're going to have a leopard feeling and we'll actually find one and then we'll look like superstars. But in the meantime, it's just optimism. Well, the baboons have been down this road this afternoon. Don't see any male lion evidence, but definitely
Go
baboons.
Let's go to the right, sure. Stop.
Gareth just wants to have a better look.
It's fading light, so it's getting difficult. But it is just more of those baboon tracks.
Tricky time of the day to be tracking.
This is 4H signing off.
And all of a sudden it's just got dark.
But not dark enough for a spotlight. It's the in-between minutes.
But you can't quite see at home how that happens. Because Basil is adjusting the exposure on the camera, but when we're out here you can definitely notice how that sky just drops off as the sun sets behind the mountain range. And all of a sudden we have very little light. It's almost like an immediate change rather than a gradual change, and now it sort of gradually gets darker, but that sort of light where you can see tracks on the road and then you can't see tracks on the road clearly is pretty quick. because of the effect of the mountain range, it's not a gradual kind of loss of light, it happens pretty quickly.
And then you lose the sun and you lose all your warmth. I like this section of the reserve actually. Gareth and I are so aware of the fact that we have to treasure the feeling of being new, because so quickly you become well acquainted with the property, and then that wonder of the newness is, it's not that it's gone, because there's so much other wondrous things that captivate you, and there's something really special about intimately understanding the way an environment is working, but there's also something really special about the newness. And right now you come across a new area in the reserve, and we've pretty much been everywhere within the reserve, but if you've only been once or twice and you come into it again, it's you feel good. You feel like, oh, it's so lovely to be here.
Brent, alright?
Standing by.
Are you still going to Sportsnet?
April, did you hear something?
Yeah, I said my head landline draw to the South Sea from where I am.
Copy, thanks. I'll go follow up.
Copy. I'll also gonna have you follow up after the change here.
Copy, check prices. And that's right, and I'll go down with one.
Copy, thank you.
Brent, can you just go with whereabouts you copied that audio from?
Somewhere between Bushveld and Lowveld of South Africa.
Copy. We are heading in the direction of the dam now. Hi
Hello,
there.
everybody.
Have a good evening. Nothing. We're looking really hard. We're looking for the male lions. Yeah. Oh, were they?
Nice.
Yes, that's where we've been all afternoon, but yeah, we've thoroughly checked there. Not this afternoon, they weren't there this afternoon.
The tracks are coming up this way. Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Have a wonderful evening. Pardon? Yeah, it's such a pity we just can't keep them there. All right, that's good news. Good news is that they have one of the car we drove past, who was, you didn't see them, but they were chatting. Not this car, the previous one. They stopped for an evening drink, which is customary out here to have a sundowner, and they actually heard a male lion roaring, and they thought it was in the direction of the dam that we're heading towards. So we're gonna keep heading on in that direction.
We're not too far from the dam, so maybe we'll get there and just sit and listen, and maybe they roar again.
Yeah, we'll head in this direction for a drink.
And then the vehicle that just passed us, you wouldn't have seen them on screen. I think they're from Bush Camp, and they said the lions were around that area last night, also roaring. So they're in the area. We've just gone past where Bush Camp is, I think where they're off to now. So the lions were in around their camp roaring last night, then went up to Kudu Krip probably for a drink this morning, and now they're moving again back north, so moving all around. Okay, so we're gonna go, this is just a little loop, Victoria. Oh, my phone has jumped off. At the next junction we'll go left to the dam.
Great.
And now there's another vehicle. Another couple of vehicles. Looks like everybody's up here looking for these lions.
Everybody's on the lion search.
Yeah, it's Brent.
He was on the lion search.
Somewhere between Cairns Spurs Nails, I'd say closer to Spurs Nails. So
Okay.
we're going to go sit and turn off at Spurs Nails and listen.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna do a similar thing.
So that Aurelia and them are going on poachers that side. So there's another road here that links through.
Yeah, the
What its name?
little loop.
Yeah.
Okay, are you gonna do that? Shall we do that?
No, I'm going to go sit at the junction and have a drink and listen.
Okay.
Eland Putt.
Eland, but
There we-
You're in David's seat. Okay, perhaps we should then take Eland Putt. Should we turn around? Or is there another way to link onto it?
Not really, and they're going slowly, so it's a bit difficult now.
Aurelia, can I bypass you at Lowveld of South Africa? No problem, Mr. Metro. Here I come.
Okay, let's turn around. There's somebody having sundowners at the dam. Didn't hear them stopping there.
Brent says to check this little loop anyway. We're all concentrating our efforts now. Who knew I could search this hard for a male lion?
You find when you're getting closer and closer to these animals when you track in, and then they start roaring, then everybody seems to get to the same area at the same time. So it's only a matter of time before the lion is found, I'm sure, unless he's in one of these thick blocks, thick sticks.
But from what I understand of the day, he's been alone. And so if he's roaring, hopefully his brother will respond and they will try and link up. So what you hope for in the evening is if that you've got a male lion roaring, that it should often, not always, nothing is guaranteed, but often it will be moving as well, particularly if he's not with his buddy.
Straight.
Just carry on.
Yeah, this just goes to the dam.
I thought I was ridiculous this afternoon when I put 4 jackets on, and now I'm so glad. You guys, can you see anything on the right there? It's like a clearing there. Nothing through there. No, it's a little bush that looks like something, but no.
Where's the other vehicle having sundown?
At Lowveld of South Africa. Which is good. It's great because if they're there and Brent's gone to the other side, we're somewhere in the middle here, we're going to hover in this triangle. Increase our odds.
I didn't hear them stopping at the dam. That would have been useful information earlier
I didn't hear them either.
to know that they were at the dam and they were telling us that the lion was roaring south of the dam. But they just said somewhere on Hoofpad, which is the road we've just driven from Bush Camp. There's little key information snippets that if you give them correctly, you can really narrow down quicker than we've just got it.
But there's always a fair element of chance involved in these things. I mean, sometimes I'd find myself on a road that wasn't particularly the right road, and then there the animal we've been searching for all afternoon is. So as much as it is a science, tracking, it's a science. It's where science and art meet, tracking. There's also a degree of luck involved.
I'm going to start using the spotlight. It's that time of day where your
I think
eyes
so.
can't quite see in the dim light. And maybe the light will catch the eyes of a lion or something else. It becomes a little bit easier.
Yeah.
There's this little time between daylight and nighttime where your eyes just fail you a little bit. You don't think it's dark enough for a spotlight, but you don't think it's light enough to not need it.
It's always better to have it.
And we're in that little window at the moment.
The twilight zone.
Okay, you're going right at the next junction, which is coming up.
Okay.
And then I think we should also just sit and listen.
That's generally the best way when you know that an animal is vocalizing frequently. The best thing to do is to just stop and wait and listen and get a bearing. And if there's more than one car stopped, you actually get a better bearing because everybody can.
That's audio of a male line. Not sure if it's the same one, but that is on the fence or next door. I'm going to go follow up Tom's voice now.
Okay.
Okay, just switch off.
Okay, copy 3 and 10. Coming down post, just taking this side as well.
So just a couple of transmissions on the radio, not sure how much you can hear that, but they heard a lion roaring on the fence, which is to our west here. Not sure if it's the lion that was heard roaring earlier, but it might be lions on the neighboring property. So I think for us, there's a couple of people looking on the fence, so if they find them, it's pretty easy. We'll sit here and see if we can hear a response from a lion that's potentially not that one, if it is a different lion that's roaring to the one that was heard earlier. I'm currently working on a map which we'll hopefully be able to print, and then it'll be easier to show you on the screen what it is we're looking for and what I'm sort of talking about. Now it's a bit difficult on the phone to do the same illustration.
Great thing about lions is that they really like to respond to their neighboring enemies' calls, to be like, this is my land, and then the other one will be like, this is my land, and they roar and they fill the space like that. But what is good is that if there is any male lion roaring, which obviously there is because other people have heard it, chances are it's going to set all the male lions in the area off. And if we just sit put here, it's very unlikely that the male lion that they've just heard roaring is the same one that we've been tracking all day. It's not impossible, but very unlikely. And so I'm hopeful. It was about 10 minutes since the first lion was called in as roaring, then that one roared, and now it's been a few more minutes. So hopefully there's going to be a bit of back and forth.
Hello, Mom. Cheryl Nutt has just joined. And we're back.
We lost ya.
There was a small connection issue there. Sorry about that. We do apologize. When you're out here and you're bouncing off Wi-Fi and into the camp and streaming, these are glitches that do occur from time to time. I don't know where that stream broke, but the lion has been found.
Hence the excitement.
And we are making our way there. Unfortunately, it is on the fence line. It is our lion that we've been following. So one of the Rietspruit males. I don't know if the coalition actually has a name, but that's what I'm going to call it until I'm told otherwise.
Gee, what happens next?
I'm not sure. So this is quite a long little windy 2-track.
I'm actually very glad all of you are comfortable in your couches and sofas and armchairs at home, because I would be bouncing you around and you'd be holding on for dear life.
Maybe just ask Brent where from Rietspruit he is.
Brent, I've got a visual of light. Can I stand by here in Rietspruit? I keep coming with. Copy, thank you. Passing Poole rhino here in Rietspruit. It's going west. Vehicle coming from west. The rhino bull coming to side.
Copy, I'll stand by.
So there's a rhino through here somewhere, which maybe just before we see the lion we could get a glimpse of this rhino on World Rhino Day.
All stations, I've got the other main line here on Madrid Cat Line, and it is close to Skyline Road on Glowbank side. One vehicle in lock.
And the other male lion has just been found on Kaya.
And just to be sure, Victoria, you got on Snail Lane on the Madrid fence.
Correct. Close to Skyline, not at Skyline.
Yeah, it's Snail Lane, SNY, but you know, it's fine. Yeah, because Madrid but is a separate road to the fence.
The lion's to the right, the rhino is up here somewhere.
Apologies.
Also, not Victoria.
Maybe it is Victoria.
Okay, well, we all got it wrong in various times. But yeah, it's Snail Lane as in cut line.
Okay, looking.
Correct.
Let's look quickly. Oh, there he
There's
is.
the male rhino
Covered in mud.
coming straight towards us.
Hello. Look at that mud. Beautiful.
Okay, so Mary is confirming that they are the Rietspruit males. Nice to get a rhino in here
I think we won't follow him
on
too
World
much
Rhino
after
Day.
dark.
I think we'll go and see the male lion. We don't want to spend too much time with a rhino at night.
Just sensitive to their eyesight. Okay,
So we
can
turn
carry on
around,
here? Oh, we got to turn around.
here, and then we'll go.
Turning around again. Watch behind you, Yuka. We might actually get stuck behind this white rhino.
Rhino is walking down the road here. Okay, before we get to the male lion and sit with him, he has been roaring. It'll be nice to see if he does roar this evening, considering he has been roaring, if we get him on camera with 15 minutes left of this evening's drive. Just a reminder, we do have Zoom drive starting again next week on Tuesday morning and Thursday afternoon our side for pack members. Remember, you have to sign up for those. Just there's our rhino again.
Your best place now is going to be the north of the pipe. As you get him coming in. Sorry, thanks, Brent.
Let's stop and let him carry on a little bit.
So yeah, Zoom drive starting again for our pack members, Tuesday morning South African time and Thursday afternoon. So book for those. Be sure to do that, where you can interact live with us. We're not sure who will be driving, but if you are keen as pack members, do go and sign up. And then for those of you watching on the public YouTube, remember, if you would like to interact with the guides, go on the link below and sign up on Patreon, and you'll be on the link where you can interact with us and ask questions. And then you have to be a pack member to join those Zoom drives where you can talk to us real time. This rhino is walking straight towards where the lion is.
Thank you, station. Aaron,
I think you've gone the wrong way.
I think this is the update we've just been given, is to come from here.
Yeah, that way.
Okay.
Are we going?
No, we are. Yeah, we're in the correct direction.
Okay.
Right?
Well, let's see.
It's incredible to have actually stumbled upon this white rhino now. No. Oh, we were going the right way the first time. Okay, we're going to leave the rhino and we're going to zoom up. I'm hoping we can grab the male lion just before the end of drive. I've not ever had to turn around so many times in a game drive in my life. First time for everything. Ooh, and a log.
Just went the wrong way on that road when we saw the rhino again.
Got too excited.
Instead of
With
going
rhinos.
towards the lion. Nice to see a rhino walking around doing a territorial patrol in the evening.
Okay, tell me where I need to be so we can get there. Is it just straight on this road?
Just follow this road straight.
Okay, so where we first found him, carry on.
Yeah.
Cool. Try and get a nice, literally a last minute lion.
Okay, if he is walking down the road, it should be in front of you somewhere here.
Stations I've left the white rhino bull, keen to continue towards the male lion. There are lights here. Left, saw eyes.
Go right.
Let's have a look down the fence if we're going.
There.
Oh, there. Nice. Perhaps this means we'll get a beautiful.
Can't see, there's no spotlight on that vehicle.
This isn't maybe the people leaving the sighting, and then the lines behind those lights that we're seeing.
I think there's a vehicle on the right, is there? I can't see.
Oh, there he comes. Let's just pull over and see if he'll come past us. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Pop a light on him. It's always amazing when a plan comes together. And we're going to get a brilliant walk by, hopefully. Amazing. Looks like Kinky Tail. Showing an interest in us. That is definitely a kink at the end of his tail. Beautiful. Fantastic. Hello. Good, how are you?
I'll be giving out tracking lessons on Thursday.
Good job.
That was a long track.
I didn't even think it was the same lion.
It is.
I know, but
Following his tracks.
yes, but the roars were so spaced out. He's moved. He's on the move.
Just arrived at Snowlane Junction and Madrid Fest, so I don't see anybody.
It's not me.
Yes, Victoria.
It is close to skyline, so just come up ahead still more.
Okay, we're gonna have to do a little U-turn. I'd love to see this male lion again.
Nice to have a male.
How's our
lion
drainage
to
line?
end
Yuka's
this
watching.
evening's drive.
Can I have the light? Just check that I don't reverse us back into a hole or something. I've been known to do that kind of thing. It does look like it could be a little bit more treacherous than I realized. Let's turn around up here. Ooh, luckily this car is so zooty. We can do a quick turn. I'm going to try and get one more glimpse of him. I can't promise it'll be as majestic and as up close and personal and incredible as our most recent walk by, but just a last glimpse of him before the end. We've worked so hard for him. You're doing well there.
Leaving Brent and 1 log off Snowlane. Thanks. Then you're moving north of Orella along the fence. He's heading north, approaching north the spot now. Hey, copy, I'm just going to stand by here. Copy.
What I'm going to do is get the glimpse from behind him, watch him walking up the road. It is beautiful. And he's on the move. How's that over there? Brent's letting us get past. Thank you.
So I was saying earlier, before we found, well, in the process of trying to find him, that being a fence reserve, this is the edge of his territory, so this is when he's going for a territorial patrol. Often they'll walk up along the fence lines. This is a territorial patrol on the edge of the territories, making sure nobody from next door is coming through.
What's on your way home?
So, yeah, we should find him, hopefully. So worth it when you put the effort in. How are you doing, Basil? Let's see if we can get one more. One more look at him, and then it'll probably be time to say goodnight. Good night to you!
This is a really good way to end our week.
Okay, can you reach from here, Basil?
Just get a little
I'm gonna
closer,
get a
we're kind of on the
smidgen
edge of the
closer.
spotlight.
Lion Lock on the cut line, close to Skyline, but on the western side of cut line, heading west on that fence line. So one vehicle in lock.
Look at how beautiful his elbows are covered in dark fur. Such a typical sign of a mature male lion. Lift a little.
Yeah, station with the main layout. Remember, connecting approach.
There's two different male lines, I think. Confirmed one on the eastern fence and one on the southern fence.
Copy.
It's not funny to giggle at people.
The one on the eastern fence or the one on the southern fence?
The one on the eastern fence.
Yeah, you can make your way.
He's just out of reach of our light now. Look at the dust from the other vehicle and his paws are moving. Oh, that's a photographer's dream. Look at it. And Basil is the man of the moment. The light, side light there.
Are they closing down?
I think we're going to let him go off and continue his evening patrol along the fence, making sure that he doesn't let anyone else in. But it's been a seriously successful afternoon with a lot of effort put in, and Brent just pipped us to the post, but next time we'll find it and he'll enjoy the fruits of our labor.
When we've learnt the roads a little bit better and the radio.
Until then, we'll see you soon. Cheers, everyone.
Bye, everybody.